All right, so class, yesterday we started to talk about open syllables. What kind of a letter does an open syllable end with? Very good, it ends with a vowel. And in an open syllable, what does that vowel say? Very good. Our more consistent vowels that we talked about say their name. Let's say that rule that we learned together about our more consistent vowels. A, E, O, and U usually say A, E, O, U, or oo at the end of a syllable. Very good. But you probably noticed yesterday we only talked about 4 vowels and we have 6 vowels. So today we're going to talk about, so we said these were our more consistent vowels. Today we're going to talk about our less consistent vowels. So let's look at the list of vowels that we have. Which vowels are missing? Very good. Our I is missing. And what else is missing? Excellent. Our Y is missing. So I and Y are our less consistent vowels. So they have a different rule. So we saw that the vowels, the more consistent vowels, usually say their name in an open syllable. The only tricky thing with our more consistent vowels, though, is our U, remember, has 2 names. Well, it has a name and a nickname, so it can say either of those sounds in an open syllable. All right, so those are our more consistent vowels. Our less consistent vowels have a different rule. So we say I and Y usually say E or I at the end of a syllable. Let's just say that. I and Y usually say E or I at the end of a syllable. So I and Y usually say E or I at the end of a syllable, but may say it. Right? So when we say the vowel sounds for it, I-E and ya, it, I-E, we hear that there are 3 vowel sounds for each of those. So unlike our a, ah, where it usually says its name because it's more consistent, in an open syllable, I and Y can either say E or I, and sometimes they'll say their first sound as well. So you can tell that's why we call them less consistent. These guys are a lot more clear. Our I and our Y are a little bit trickier. So let's try some words and see how that works out. All right, so we'll take the word apart, then you'll write it, and then you'll tell me what to write. So the first word we're going to write is try, class. What's the word? Good, try. I hope you are all going to try your best. Try. Now, what sounds do we hear in the word try? Good, the sounds are t, r, I. Now, could we use it, I-E here? If you said no, then you were thinking back to our earlier lesson. English words do not end with I. So if we have an I sound at the end of our word, it's going to be ya, it, I-E instead, because English words do not end with I. So one more time, what are you going to write to spell try? Good, and what are you going to use for I? Good, ya, it, I-E. So write those sounds and say them while you write them. All right, class, what do I need to write to spell try? Good. Good. R. Good. I. And what am I using for I here? Good. Ya. It, I-E. All right, so let's go ahead and mark our word. Do we need to mark this? No, we only really mark consonants, single consonants, if they're between a vowel and a silent final E. Otherwise, remember, most of them just have one sound anyway, so there's nothing to mark. So no, how about this? All right, so Y is saying its vowel name, which is I. I know this is a little bit tricky. So Y's vowel name is I. So it's saying its vowel name. We're going to underline it. All right, so remember we talked a little bit about how Y and I have the same vowel sounds. So it's kind of like I is like the dad, right? Or it's like a senior, right? Sometimes you say, this person is John Smith Sr. because he had a son who he also named John Smith, and to keep them separate, they called him John Smith Jr. And so it's kind of like the I is the dad. But then when we can't use the I, we would use the Y instead. But we treat it pretty much the same. When this says I, we would underline it. And we'll see later too, when our I says I, we also underline it. So we treat Y and I the same if they're acting as vowels. All right, so now let's read our word. Since Y is underlined, we know to say I. All right, good. Try. And class, is this a closed syllable or an open syllable? Very good. It's an open syllable with one of our less consistent vowels, but it's open because it ends with the vowel, and the vowel is saying its name. All right, now let's try another one. Let's try the word fly. Right, now fly has two meanings. It could be the little insect buzzing around in the air, or you could say, I will fly in a plane to visit my grandma. Right, but they're both spelled the same way. So what sounds do we hear in the word fly? Good, it's f, o, I. All right, can we use I-E here? No, why not? Very good. English words do not end with I, so what are we going to use instead? Good, yeah, I-E. So write the sounds in fly. Say them while you write them. When you're finished, put your pencil down. Put your finger under the first phonogram and tell me what I need to write to spell fly. Good. O. Good. I. And which I am I going to use? Good. Yeah. I-E. All right, so make sure your fly looks like mine. Now let's mark it. Does this need a marking? How about this? Good, we're going to underline our ya, I-E, because I is its vowel name. When this is saying I, right, it's saying its first vowel sound. When it's saying I, it's saying its name. So we underline it when it says I. All right, let's say our sounds and put them together. Good. O, I, fly. All right, good. Let's try another one. Let's try the word shy. What's the word? Good. I do not like to talk to strangers because I am shy. What sounds do we hear in the word shy? Good, it's sh. Remember, we need two letters to say that. And then I. Can we use I-E? Why not? Very good. English words do not end with I. So what do we use instead? Very good. We use ya, I-E. So write the sounds in shy and say them while you write them. All right, when you're finished, put your pencil down. Class, what do I need to write to spell shy? Good. Shh. That whole name, say it with me if you remember. Sh, used at the beginning of a word, the end of a syllable, but never at the beginning of syllables after the first one, except for the ending ship. All right, and what's next? Good. I is the next sound. And how do we make that sound? Very good. We use ya, I-E. All right. Make sure your shy looks like mine. Now let's mark it. Does this need a marking? All right, if you're telling me yes, then you've really been paying attention well because this is a 2-letter phonogram and we always underline them. Now how about this one? Good, it's saying its vowel name, which is I, so we're going to underline it. All right, so these are, let's see, maybe, let's do one more. Let's do the word spy. I do not want you to spy on me, little brother. What sounds do we hear in the word spy? Good, the sounds are s, p, I. Can we use I-E at the end of this English word? No, what are we going to use instead? Very good, we're going to use ya, I-E instead. All right, so write the sounds in spy and say them while you write them. All right, class, what do I need to write to spell spy? Good. Good, I. And which I do I use? Very good, yeah, I-E. All right, so make sure your spy looks like mine. Let's mark it. Does this need a marking? No. No. Very good. We need to underline this because, say it with me, it's saying its vowel name. And how is it saying its vowel name? Very good. It is an open syllable. All right. So, class, will we ever have a one-syllable word that's an open syllable where I is at the end? We wouldn't, would we? Because English words do not end with I. This, of course, is the exception, right? When you're talking about yourself, it is an open syllable. This is the only exception, though, for English words. So besides this one, there will never be a one-syllable word that has an open syllable with I at the end. Because, say it with me, English words do not end with I. So to see our I in action, we are going to need to use a 2-syllable word. All right. So just a reminder how we find the syllables. I know we haven't done this a lot yet. We would put our hand on our chin, say the word, and however many times our chin goes down, that's the number of syllables. All right, so I might have already given away how many syllables it is, but let's practice finding the syllables. The word is spider. How many syllables are in the word spider? Show me on your chest when you figured it out. Maybe it's a 10-syllable word. It's not a 10-syllable word. All right, if you are saying 2, you are just right. There are 2 syllables in spider. So this is kind of a fun challenge, like when we spelled paper yesterday, because this is just our second 2-syllable word. All right, so we'll take it 1 syllable at a time. The first syllable is spy. What's the first syllable? Good, spy. What sounds do we hear in the syllable spy? Good, so the sounds are s, p, I. Now this is the first syllable of a 2-syllable word, spider. Could I use I-E to say I here? I could, couldn't I? Because it's the end of a syllable, but it's not the end of an English word. So I want you to write that first syllable. We're going to use I-E to say I in spider. So write that first syllable, and then remember to do the little dot and leave the clock space that says this is a new syllable. All right, now let's write our second syllable, which is der. What sounds do we hear in the syllable der? Good, it's d, but remember we have, how many ways to say do we have? Good, we have 5. So whenever we're spelling, just wait. I will always tell you what to use the first time we're spelling a word. and you'll never ever have to guess, and you'll always spell it right the first time if you're listening. Isn't that nice? I think it is nice. All right, so for our in der, we're going to use the of her. Which are we going to use? Very good. The of her. So write that second syllable and say the sounds while you write them. All right, class, tell me what I need to write to spell spider. Good. Very good. And which I am I using? Good, I'm using I-E, because I can use that because it's not the end of a word. And what lets my I say I here? Very good, it's an open syllable. All right, now what do I need to write for my second syllable? Good, D. I made sure I started that in the correct spot so I didn't reverse it. And what's next? Right, and which is it? Very good, the of her. All right, so make sure your spider looks like mine. And let's say the sounds and put them, first we're going to mark it. Then we'll say our sounds and put them together. So does this need a marking? No. No. Good, we need to underline our I-E because it's saying its name, which is I. All right, does this need a marking? No. How about this? It's excellent if you're showing me this right now, because we do need to underline this. See, it's two letters that work together to make that sound. All right, and now that we have our spider written, we can read it. Very good job, class. It's I, and we know to say I because it's underlined, and then spider. All right, so we looked a little bit at our less consistent vowels in an open syllable today. What are our less consistent vowels? Very good, they are I and Y. And let's say the rule for our less consistent vowels. I and Y usually say E or I at the end of a syllable, but may say I. All right, we'll keep coming back to that in the next few weeks until you have that totally memorized. But great work today.